I'm Josh WIntersgill. I'm 27 years old now, diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy type 3 at the age of 18 months old. Went to school, went to college, went to university, moved away from home, graduated back in 2015 with an IT and management business degree, and have since worked full-time as a cybersecurity manager, and now running my own business, Easy Travel Seat. And I also, in the background, quite a sporty person, which is the reason for this call. Air rifle shooting is a really fun and accessible sport that caters for a wide range of disabilities. It's particularly good for people with neuromuscular conditions like ourselves, with whether you've got, muscular dystrophy, muscular atrophy, or it might be that you might have a spinal cord injury. It's very good for people with neuromuscular conditions. And I took up the sport probably about 5 years. No, it's longer than that. Well, I've been shooting since I was about, I would say 14. And I just basically picked up a rifle at a sports event. I think we'll probably touch base on how I got into it. But fundamentally, it's a shooting sport that you just shoot at a static target on a wall, which is typically 10 meters away, a very small target, and it's an air rifle. So you could cause some damage to people if you shoot close enough. But it's a very fine precision sport. With SMA, I used to be quite sporty as a child. I did a lot of swimming, badminton, table tennis, football, cricket, rounders, you name it. I've done most of the sports. And as I've got older, and with my condition deteriorating, I've kind of gradually gone from being able to swim to not swimming, to being able to do badminton, to then going down to doing table tennis. So you can kind of see that as the conditions deteriorated, the ability to do, more active sports has declined. And when I got to about 13, 14, my nan took me to the Bath and West Showground, and there is a sports section over the 4 days at the event. And my nan came across it one year and, made an inquiry and said, yeah, bring Josh along next year. So nan took me along, and there was all sorts of sports there: wheelchair slalom, table tennis, short mat bowls, fly casting, archery, and one of the sports just so happened to be air rifle. And the first year that I shot air rifle at the Bath and West Games, I think I shot 94 or 96 out of 100. And I only ever really shot air rifle every year when I competed at the games. And when I went to university, I didn't do a sport. And when I graduated and I went into full-time employment, I thought, well, I'm getting a bit bored now with my evenings and I need something else to do, because I'm just pulling my hair out after work. And I thought, well, why don't I, give a sport a go? Because I knew I was very competitive and I enjoyed it, and it was good for your physical and mental well-being. And I thought, well, why don't I give air rifle a go? I knew I was relatively good at it from the Bath and West days. And I reached out to Disability Shooting Great Britain, and I've not looked back since. In terms of shooting, I wouldn't say there's any significant moments that stand out to me. I'm still quite early on in my shooting career in the grand scheme of things, but I think the most recognized point, or that I feel that I've achieved, that stands out to me the most, is being accepted onto the program, the development and talent pathway program for Great British Shooting, which then takes you on to the world-class program, which is effectively you becoming a Paralympic athlete shooting at international and Paralympic games. So I think that's the biggest achievement for me in my shooting career. And I'm almost at the point now where hopefully by this time next year, I will hopefully be considered for the world-class program, depending on how hard I work for going into next year. So I think there's a couple of places to start, and we'll get Ryan to put the links in the description, or Pathfinder's Neuromuscular Alliance to put the links in. And there's a couple in there that take you to the British Shooting website and the World Parasport Shooting website. And in there's lots of information about hub clubs and where you can go to shoot, and check out Disability Shooting Great Britain as well. And there's lots of useful resources that you can look at that kind of shows you whether or not that sport would be something you'd be interested in. It tells you more information about kind of the support that can be put in place to enable you to shoot. So for instance, I require an assistant to help load the rifle, help set me up, get me into my position. So it's almost like bocce, right? So with bocce, you'd have an assistant that would hold the ramp for you, and they would help you change the incline of the ramp and put the ball in, and you would hold it and let go. They're basically just an extension of your arm. And so for a lot of people watching this video, they will most likely fall into that classification of SH2. And so what I would encourage people to do if they are really interested in taking up the sport is to look at the rules and videos online of what an SH2 athlete would be expected to do. And there's some very good YouTube links online. If you just type in SH2 shooting air rifle, there's lots of really good international competitions that show you SH2 shooters, and you'll see there are shooters in manual chairs, electric chairs. I myself as an electric chair shooter, and the way in which athletes are classified are based on their upper body ability, not their lower body ability. So for a lot of muscular dystrophies and atrophy folk, they will typically be an SH2 BB. Again, in the rules online, you can check this all out, but it basically just means that you're entitled to different types of springs, you're allowed support, it means you might be entitled to different extensions or allowances on what you're allowed on and off the rifle to enable you to shoot. So they're always very good to have a look at. But I think the most important thing is that I know that anybody watching this video can shoot. It's just knowing what is at your disposal to enable you to shoot. There's so many different types of adaptations out there within the sport that you can kind of get or make yourself. So yeah, I mean, it's the sport's opened up to anyone, but I do recommend checking out those links and checking out the videos so you can see how the sport actually works and whether or not it's going to be a sport that's for you. It's definitely impacted everyone on the academy for British shooting, not just disabled athletes. It's everyone. And I think the beauty with air rifle is that it's a sport that you can train at home. Once you've got the equipment and you've got your setup, all you need is a piece of paper with a target printed out on it, and you can literally set your gun up at home with a computer, put a sensor on the end of your gun, and you can shoot like as if you're shooting on a range. You're just not firing pellets. So for us, for the development athletes, for the I've forgotten the class now. You've got development and I've forgotten the other one. But basically, for a lot of us athletes that have already set up and ready to go, we've all been training at home. We've been doing a lot of weekly calls where we all get together as a group. We all get together as a group on a Zoom, and we chat about how our week's going, what we're working on in terms of training, how is everybody doing, what are they doing in their sort of personal life to keep themselves occupied. So over lockdown, we've kind of come together quite nicely as a community, where we've had weekly conversations, and it's just nice to have an involvement with other people and other people with similar disabilities that you can kind of just socialize with. I suppose I think that's the beauty of it, is that we've all been stuck at home, and the sport has just given you an extra dimension to keep you occupied during lockdown. So for mental health, I think for a lot of athletes, it's been very, very helpful, especially for those that maybe are slightly more isolated than others, where they might not be living with family or friends, where they might be living at home on their own. So yeah, I think it's just been a really nice way of keeping everybody together during these times. And that training routine of being able to train a couple of times a week allows you to set a couple of hours a day over maybe 2 or 3 days a week to work towards or aim for. So it gives you something. It also gives you something to look forward to in the week, and really breaks it down. So yeah, for me personally, shooting's been a blessing, really. Apart from working my backside off with business and aviation and being an advocate in that space, I don't really have too many other hobbies. I do like to do a bit of gaming. I do like football. I'm a Man United fan, I will admit it. We're not doing too well at the moment, but yeah, I take an active interest in lots of different things outside of shooting, and I'm very generally quite busy. I don't really tend to stop. So yeah, I've got fingers in lots of different pies. So fortunately now there's a vaccine coming through, isn't there? Or well, they believe a 90% vaccine. So it looks like that Tokyo may go ahead. The sport itself over the last couple of games, where they've not necessarily got the medals, lottery funding has been restricted a little bit, which has impacted how many athletes are on the program, which subsequently means that less athletes may get to go to games. And so with Tokyo now going ahead, Great Britain are very well positioned in terms of the athletes that we've got to go out there and win medals. And there was a bit of concern that if Tokyo didn't go ahead, what could the impact be financially on the sport? And I think now it's great news that the vaccine's coming through and that it may actually be the green light to Tokyo going ahead. So hopefully we go out there, we win lots of medals, and it raises the profile for the sport going up to Paris in 2024. So the answer to your question is, my goal now is to spend the next year training, working away, trying to get myself onto the world-class program. Once I'm on the world-class program, it'll then be a case of shooting international competitions and working my way towards Paris 2024. That's the plan. And then hopefully from that, we then work towards Los Angeles, which is 2028. So my plan is to be, properly on the squad, training all the time, working away, towards hopefully Paris and LA, and then running the business in the background.
Good.
The business that I run at the moment is called Easy Travel Seat. You may or may not have seen it before online or at some of the sort of disability events like NAIDEX and Kids to Adults. But effectively, I designed a lifting seat that enables wheelchair users to be transferred from their wheelchair onto an aircraft in a more safe, dignified, and comfortable manner. Typically, when you fly in and out of an airport or on an aircraft, you either have to be lifted under your arms and legs, or if an airport has a particular type of sling or a hoist available, then that option is there available for you. And what we've done is we've basically said, well, not every airport in the world has a hoist and not every airport has a sling. And so why not allow the individual to have their own transfer seat, so that regardless of what airport that they fly to and from, they've always got a way of being lifted off the aircraft with dignity without being lifted under the arms and legs. So we basically removed that worry and stress and anxiety of not knowing what an airport's going to be like when it comes to getting you on and off the aircraft. And then we took it another step further and said, well, when you're out of your wheelchair, it's extremely uncomfortable. We want to be in our chairs, but how can we better make sure that people feel more comfortable and secure when they're out of their chair, for instance, when you're on an aisle chair or when you're in the aircraft seat? And so what we did was we designed it in a way that would allow you to put your wheelchair cushion inside the seat, so that when you're on the aisle chair or on the aircraft seat, you've got the pressure relief with your cushion. So we did that, and then we've also added a couple of other features on it. So it does include hoist straps as well, so you can use it with or without a hoist, as well as manual transferring. So that's what we do. We supply that product, and we're now looking at creating a whole new range of disability day-to-day living products that will also be useful for other folk with neuromuscular conditions. So things like leg straps, wheelchair covers, and I don't want to say too much, but we've got other exciting stuff coming through that we're hoping to get out either the end of this year or early of next year. So busy working away on that. But yeah, essentially that's what we do. A bit of background to the business. We applied for the UK Disabled Entrepreneurs Award back in 2018, which is run by Sir Stelios Hadji-Ioannou, who is the founder of EasyJet. We ended up winning the UK Disabled Entrepreneurs Award that year, and he invited us to London, and he basically said, Josh, how can I help you? Do you need any money, etc., etc.? And I said, yes, that would be great. And effectively, we agreed on an investment deal for an equity stake in the company. So we have him as an investor, and we also use the Easy branding, hence why when you look at the website Easy Travel Seat, it looks a bit like EasyJet. We don't really have any direct business with EasyJet. We just simply share the same branding, and it just so happens that our customers use the seat to access aeroplanes. So yeah, that's a little bit of background behind the business as well for you.